Miami Hurricanes, 10th ranked, bowl eligible as of 2 days ago, as of Saturday night. 6-1, 2-1, travel to the also one-loss ACC SMU Mustangs, who are 5-3. Losses to two Big 12 teams in close games, and a close loss to Wake Forest that was just yikes. Ouch. Painful loss. Probably a bit of a look-ahead spot for SMU. This game is big. It's a bit personal, I think, for Rhett Lashley, who was at one point the offensive coordinator for Miami. Before I continue, liking the video, watching the video all the way through, and commenting your thoughts down below are the best ways to support the channel, as they help push me into the algorithm, help me to receive a larger paycheck that I can use to reinvest in producing elite analysis for you all. Subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, sharing the video around, and supporting us in other ways that you can find out via the description are other awesome ways to support our operation at College Football with Sam. We are becoming the best. We want to be the best. Thank you all for making that possible. Who a friend of my channel, JT Sports, has mentioned as someone who he'd like to replace Cristobal if Cristobal were to somehow leave or not work out. Both great coaching staffs, defenses that, especially in terms of their trench play, are among some of the best in the nation, and both of these teams technically have an outside shot to Charlottesville and the ACC championship game. Miami is an 11.5-point favorite here. Let's talk about the Canes first and foremost, as they are playing the road team. SMU is playing the host. Miami, my goodness, they have fallen a bit ever since that win over Florida State. Back-to-back wins over the Florida schools. They're in a much better position than either of those two as a program, as a job, from a recruiting and roster angle, and they physically killed both of them. They ended their seasons, really. Florida and Florida State had a chance in those games to potentially end Miami's season and extend their own. Miami, along with Virginia, helped start the downward spiral for Florida State. And Florida, after the losses to LSU and USF, needed that win over Miami. Just couldn't get it done. Those wins against Notre Dame and South Florida look so far gone. I don't even know if they're visible in the rearview mirror, because the Stanford performance wasn't good. Louisville was able to beat them physically and out-scheme them and get behind their secondary and linebackers just enough to win, and also get into Beck's head enough with the 4 interceptions. This is a massive game for the Miami Hurricanes, because they can't afford another loss. If they go 10-2 again, 6-2 in the ACC, they're not making the playoffs, because A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State are undefeated. Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oregon, those are teams with only one loss that are in better conferences, that have played better opponents in conference, that actually have a similar chance or better than Miami of reaching their conference championship game. It's just too much competition. Then you have undefeated Georgia Tech. Louisville's the head-to-head win over you. Duke, if they win out, they could theoretically get in over Miami for the ACC championship game. You got Texas Tech, and then it's a 12-team playoff, but one of those spots is reserved for the G5. Miami has zero margin for error. Zero. They have to win this game. They have to beat Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Pitt on the road. They have to beat all of those teams and win out. And if they're going to, this is their toughest test outside of maybe Pitt at the end of the year in November. They have to start winning now. For SMU, lost to Baylor in a game you should have won. Should have played TCU closer. There were just some crazy things that happened in favor of the Horned Toads, the Horned Frogs. And Wake Forest is just inexcusable loss, very painful. There's also been some bright spots. Went over Clemson on the road, how they were able to initially control Baylor, and how I think they're the better team than Baylor. Baylor was just able to come back and regain momentum. They have an outside shot at declaring the season a success. They have an outside shot at getting to Charlottesville. They have opportunities against Miami and Louisville at home. And BC on the road and Cal on the road should be weak enough opponents to where they could, in theory, win out. And at 9-3, I'd call that a successful season for SMU. I'd even call 8-4, with how much they lost, a successful season for the SMU Mustangs. So, critical game, critical swing game for both these teams, because the loser in all likelihood is eliminated from the ACC championship game conversation and therefore the college football playoff conversation. Some matchups to pay attention to here. Miami loves to run the ball. They love to run it in between the tackles. Love it, love it, love it. SMU is among one of the nation's best teams in run defense. They are 13th in yards allowed per carry, only allowing 3.82 yards per carry. In terms of expected points added per rush, they are 6th, only allowing opponents a negative 0.19 expected EPA per rush. And in terms of rushing success rate, they are 18th, allowing a 34.6 rushing success rate. This is going to be tough for Miami to run the ball and get out of here with a good win. SMU will probably do a good job at stopping it, at least initially, and they have enough firepower, just enough offensively to maybe get the Miami defense here and there. This is going to be a game that if Miami wants to win, not just in style, because that's not important at this point, just winning is important, but if they want to win, if they want to play their best cards, you have to trust Carson Beck. Initially, trust him. And if you can't, then you turtle up, you do what you're good at, play defense, win the lines of scrimmage, hopefully escape with a win. But Miami's offense has not been all that spectacular, whether at running the ball or passing. They've been good, but they're not great. They're not even close to the elite unit they were last year at times. And SMU, they're similar, where they're better defensively and they're capable enough offensively to put things together. These teams are similarly built, I would argue. Stronger in the trenches. They have quarterbacks with high ceilings but low floors. Could have NFL futures, especially Carson Beck. And their secondaries are their weaker part of the defense. But Miami's the more talented overall team. They're better in efficiency on both sides of the football. For the Canes, pay attention to Carson Beck, quarterback, Malachi Toney, wide receiver, and of course, the talented best offensive tackle in the upcoming NFL draft, Francis Mauigoa. Their D-line, Ruben Bain Jr., Akeem Mesidor, David Blay, Ahmad Moten Sr., Justin Scott. Pay attention to that unit. And if SMU decides to run there, or if maybe they try to attack this Miami defense in more creative ways. Keontae Scott, forget if he's a nickel back or a corner. I think he's their nickel. Their best DB per PFF. Pay attention to him too, the incoming transfer from Houston before transferring from Auburn. SMU, look at Kevin Jennings and then his offensive line. P.J. Williams at tackle and Joshua Bates at center. Pay attention to T.J. Harden, their running back too. And then defensively, Jeffrey Mba at D-tackle, Ja'Kai Long at D-end, and Cameron Robinson at D-end. They also have an impressive, at least in the preseason, because their pass defense has been quite atrocious at times. They're allowing over 7 yards per drop back, and their EPA per play allowed in terms of pass defense is barely above average. So they're also 134th in passing yards allowed per game, but that's what happens when you play TCU and Baylor, who are quite good at that. But in theory, Ahmad Moses and Isaiah Nwokobia are some of the best safeties in America. I'm not confident in Miami after that Louisville game and also after the Stanford game where they had a very slow start. But in the preseason, I should have went with my research more that said that Miami was a deeper team than Clemson. This was before we knew Clemson was a fraud. And Cristobal has had moments this year where he looked like he's about to choke and then doesn't. This team's more clutch than last year's, at least from what I can tell. So I'm going to go with Miami and trust Cristobal a bit. And I'm going to pick them to win. But I believe that SMU covers. I think that Miami will win a one-score game, or they'll win by 10 or maybe 11 if SMU kicks enough field goals and it's, an 11-point game instead of a 10-point game. I think 11.5 is a bit too much there. Miami's passing offense should have success, but just because it should have success doesn't mean they will. And outside of that, I think that SMU can match up with Miami pretty well in a variety of ways. Both of these offenses should be pigeonholed into passing. I would trust Beck and Toney there more than I would Kevin Jennings and Jordan Hudson or RJ Maryland, who's actually made the move to wide receiver, and it's Hibner at tight end now. But I think Miami's the better team here. Staff's pretty equal. Would lean Miami if I had to lean one way. Miami's the better overall team, though, so they will win. And as for the ACC standings, Miami currently, they're alone at 7th. SMU's tied with Louisville and Duke for 4th. Pittsburgh's in the picture. I didn't even realize that. Pittsburgh technically has an outside shot to get to the playoffs. That's toxic. And then Virginia and Georgia Tech being undefeated. What even is this conference, man? It's awesome because of how chaotic and because of how bad this is. Miami and SMU both need a win here, especially Miami. If you're Miami and you finish outside of the top third of this conference, despite being its best team in power ratings, or maybe at worst its second best, you need to make changes even though you've made progress. I mean, that would just be unacceptable. This is a must-win for Miami. Luckily for them, I think they will get it done. We'll see, though. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure, if you haven't already, to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment your analysis and thoughts down below so I can reciprocate my thoughts with you in the comment section, and check out anything on these end screens that are up here. Whether it's a recommended video or playlists for teams that I'm talking about in a preview, prediction, or a reaction, make sure to hit the notification bell on those, scroll through them, and watch any suggested videos if you are interested. Thank you for helping College Football with Sam become the best and the biggest college football brand and channel on YouTube and other social media platforms. We will reach that one day because of your support.